They said it wasn't humanly possible. But now you can have all the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand.
In 1989, Nintendo launched the Game Boy, the perfect handheld console for the time, beating out the competition even though the screen was significantly worse than everything else on the market. In 1996, we got the Game Boy Pocket, which addressed the concerns of the thickness of the original Game Boy, but didn't fix the issues with the screen. In 1998, we got the Game Boy Color. The screen was the same resolution, but instead of just 2 bits of color, we now had 15. This was a substantial improvement, but the screen was still impossible to see in less than ideal conditions. This is something that we here in America kind of just dealt with. Or we had one of those bendy little light things that attach to the side. At the same time that the Game Boy Color was released, the Game Boy Light was also released exclusively for the Japanese market. It might not have had the wide color depth of the Game Boy Color, but the simple addition of the backlight made it the perfect way to play. You might remember the Game Boy screen being difficult to see in the dark. You might remember sitting in the back seat of your parents' car playing only when a streetlight passed. But if it's been a while since you've picked up a Game Boy, you might not remember just how bad that screen is. Even in seemingly normal lighting conditions, it's near impossible to see that screen. You either need an incredibly well-lit room, like, for example, one with video lights set up, or you just have to wait to play in the daytime. It's really that bad. And this even goes for the Game Boy Color. Even the first Game Boy Advance, which was the perfect opportunity to fix this issue, didn't have a backlight. It wasn't until the Game Boy Advance SP where we get a front light. Almost as good, but not quite. The later model Game Boy Advance SP, the AGS 101, has a front light and a backlight. If we're including all Game Boy families, this might be the best Game Boy ever made, and the best way to play your Game Boy games. But if we're just narrowing it down to the original lineup, the OG Game Boys, then the Game Boy Light is definitely the best of the bunch, for the sole reason that you can actually see what you're playing. It's such a simple thing that at the time we didn't seem to care much about. We were just happy to be able to play our games portably. Unfortunately, it was a Japanese exclusive, so we didn't hear about it too much here in the States. And a lot of people have been telling me, yeah, I remember that version, I had that as a kid. Either you grew up in Japan, or no, you didn't. It's some sort of weird Mandela effect thing going on. This was a very rare thing to see outside of Japan. To activate the backlight, you just flip the on switch all the way to the right. If you put the on switch in the middle position, the system will turn on, but the backlight will remain off. This conserves battery life. You get around 20 hours with the backlight off and 12 with the backlight on. For comparison, the Pocket gets 10 to 11 hours, but that takes AAA batteries. And you know, has no backlight. The AA batteries give the Game Boy Light a similar bulge to the Game Boy Color, which was a little disappointing to me when I got it, but I can make do. The Game Boy Color also had 10 hours of battery life, so the only benefit with the Color was the extra colors and the proprietary games, which in hindsight weren't really all that great compared to OG Game Boy games, aside from Metal Gear Solid, which was amazing. At the time, of course, buyers wanted the most bang for their buck, so they wanted the hot new console that could play the hot new games. This might be why we didn't get to see the Game Boy Light here in the States. It's also almost the same dimensions as the Game Boy Pocket, aside from the battery bulge, putting it right in between the Game Boy Pocket and the Game Boy Color. The Game Boy Color also received a significant downgrade in screen size. So in terms of size to performance ratio, I'd say that the Game Boy Light is a very good compromise. One major criticism that current buyers might have with the retro console is that the screen suffers from a little bit of ghosting. The refresh rate might be a little slow, resulting in a slightly blurred image if the game has fast motion. I think this is a very small price to pay for, actually being able to see the screen. If you were that picky, I'd suggest picking up a modded Game Boy or Game Boy Color. Personally, I was looking for something a little bit more pocketable, but apparently it's very difficult to perform this mod on a Game Boy Pocket. So I opted for the Game Boy Light. I also like that it's original hardware. There's something very Blade Runner about the way that it looks. I got mine on eBay for a steal. It originally came in either gold or silver, but there are some special edition versions, like the translucent yellow Toys R Us exclusive that I've never seen before. There's a translucent red Tezuka Osamu World Shop exclusive, a clear Astro Boy and Famitsu limited edition, and my favorite, the Pokemon Center Special Edition. The wiki says that there was only 1,000 of these made, but I see them on eBay pretty frequently, and they don't seem to be in that high demand, so I don't know how true this is. I'm kind of afraid to mention this in the video because I'm in the market for one, and I don't want to pay too much, so please don't outbid me. So to me, the Game Boy Light is the coolest Game Boy that Nintendo has ever made. Its rarity definitely adds to its coolness factor, but its size and, most of all, its screen make it the best official way to play these games. Unless you've got an AGS 101. But come on, getting caught playing a Game Boy Light is so much cooler than getting caught playing an AGS 101. It's so much of a better conversation starter. Imagine you're sitting on a bus playing Pokemon and a babe sits next to you and she's like, oh, what's that? And you're like, oh, it's just a Game Boy Light. It's Japanese exclusive. Forget I said anything. This is the lamest. So what do you guys think about the Game Boy Light? Is this something that you're interested in, even just as a piece of Nintendo history? I didn't even know that it existed until I made that Game Boy camera video, which I highly recommend you check out. It would have made my life so much easier for that video, but hey, now when I take pictures with my Game Boy camera, I'm gonna use this thing, and it will make my life so much easier. Of course, we got new videos and live streams all the time. Our schedule isn't a pinned tweet over on our Twitter. The backlog is back on Saturdays. We got live streams over here on YouTube, also on twitch.tv/WulffDen, where I'm trying to play through Heart Gold for the first time. I've never played it before. But I'm also playing a lot of the newest Nintendo Switch releases, so it's gonna be a long time till I beat Heart Gold. If you'd like to help support the channel, I think the best way to do it is WulffDen Apparel, because you get a physical item, something that doesn't suck, actual good-looking clothes, not like that other YouTuber merch. But of course, the most important and easiest things that you can do is just subscribe to the channel, that's easy, and share this video with a friend, another friend who might be interested in some retro games, maybe something like the Game Boy, because that's what we talk about. Thank you guys very much. You have yourself a very good week.